Today, Kimberly, Mitchell, and I got singled out for a challenge from TheCombat KnifeThrower. Apparently, if you're the admin of a group, you have to do a challenge like the one he's proposing, which is the challenge from hell. So you stand at 6 meters, you throw 3 no-spin throws, and then you throw 3 rotational throws. And then you do that again, 3 no-spin, 3 rotational. What I've been finding lately is that I'm great at the no-spin, or I'm great at the rotational, or I'm not great at all. None of them stick. So really, the question is, will I have a good chance to get all 12 sticks in a row, no screw-ups? We'll see. For this challenge, I'm going to be using Werner's mini arrows. I love these. They're handle heavy. They're designed by Tom or Sandmouth Chipmunk on YouTube. Check him out. Check out Werner. I'm also going to be using the Boker Bailey Ziel knife for the rotational throws. So let's get started. Before I shot the intro, I had practiced for about an hour. During that time, I was doing great with the rotational throws, but many of my no-spin throws didn't stick at all. Once I started filming again, the opposite occurred. I could stick most of my no-spin throws, but not so well with the rotational throws. What was happening was that I had gotten so used to slowing down the rotation of the arrows that when I transitioned to the Magnum Ziels, I slowed down its rotation as well. Eventually, I got so many non-sticks that I began to expect the next one to just not stick. This challenge really messes you up. I'm not getting anything to stick anymore. I decided to spend one round just doing rotational throws. Of course, I did way better. Although, when I went back to no spin, I overspun my first throw. About an hour and 20 minutes in, my inner elbow began to get sore, and I thought maybe I should try a smaller knife. I chose Werner Lengmuller's no spin knife. After dialing in my distance, which was 3 spins at 6 1/4 meters, I started the challenge again. Wow. After a few more rounds, my inner elbow began to really hurt, as well as my fingertips since I was using that pinch grip. I went back inside and brought back a plethora of knives to try out. Although you see I'm not sticking most of my knives, I'm focused on how comfortable the knife feels on my fatigued arm rather than getting my distance correct. And then I found my winner. The awesome thing about the Shark Blades White Sharks is there's a hole at the end that I could grab each time, so I had a consistent grip. Plus, the hole is camphor, which makes it really smooth on my fingertips during the release. Here's my best round. Okay, that was 10 out of 12. I've been out here for almost like 4 hours. 10 out of 12 isn't too bad, right? After that round, I was hoping to get better than 10 out of 12, but it never happens. On the bright side, my rotational throwing had improved, and the 6 meter distance didn't seem as scary as before. Today, it's November 2nd, it's like 2 days later. My arm was just so sore, it hurt here. This whole arm was sore, especially my delts. My calf was sore, my right calf, just the side. It was really weird. I wasn't gonna spend another day doing this challenge, but I saw a motivational poster today, and it said, the difference between the unattainable and attainable is your determination. And so I'm dedicating this attempt to Kimberly, Mitchell. Wish me luck, and here we go. First attempt. Of course, my rotational throwing is better today. The great thing about videotaping your practice is that you can see what you're doing wrong. What I'm doing wrong here is that I wasn't getting backspin on the knife like how I did the other day. What do I mean by backspin? Basically, the knife is released at an angle greater than about 120 degrees. Or in other words, the knife is pointing back behind you during the release. To do it, you had to have good control of the arrow. You need to be able to feel your index finger push up while simultaneously sliding down the spine of the knife. As my friend once said to me, it's like painting a feather that's floating in the sky. What I did on this day was that I released the knife at close to 90 degrees. Since the arrows are handle heavy, it barely rotates, so it hits flat. What do I mean by handle heavy? Handle heavy means that the knife's balance point is more towards the handle. The balance point here is at 8.5 centimeters, so its balance point is at 40%. This might seem like a downside, but this ability for the arrow to resist rotation is actually great for no spin throwing. You just have to remember to get the right amount of backspin at further distances. I didn't know this at the time, but when I put too much backspin on the knife does a reverse spin. I'm not sure if this is good or not, but it worked. Now for me, my normal method of no spin actually involves barely any spin, not even a quarter spin. As you can see here, the knife actually does a bullet spin towards the target, meaning it will twist on its longitudinal axis, much like a football. This works really well for me at a close range, up to about 4 meters, but it gets difficult to stick the knife the farther I get back. It's doable, but for me, I'm way more successful at the 6 meter mark imparting a backspin on the knife rather than a bullet spin. Since on this day I'd have forgotten how to do the backspin and relied on doing a bullet spin, I failed the majority of my no spin throws. During all this failure, I had time to think. This challenge reminds me of something Dagger said in his podcast, which is egoless throwing, where you don't celebrate over the bullseye and you don't feel bad over not hitting the bullseye. You feel nothing. You just worry about the next knife. Mentally, I'm like, oh, I sucked or I did good, and then it kind of affects how you feel for the next knife. So I'm gonna focus on that. Thanks, Jack. I think egoless throwing works well, but is hard to keep in mind when you're failing the entire time. I decided to try a different method. I think if I throw faster, it gives me some time not to think about it. At least a little better than what I've been doing. The success I had doing this reckless type of throwing didn't last long. I did have one okay round. Since I stuck all 3 of my rotational throws, I decided to start scoring from there. Out of 12. After that, I had more failure to the point where I gave up. You know how when someone's really sad and they rock themselves asleep? This is what I think what knife throwers do when they're sad. They throw from 2 meters at a slow, rhythmic pace. I couldn't stick anything, even when I went back to 3 meters. At this point, I went inside, probably cried a little, and then I came back to give it a few more tries. That I could do it today in this hour, but I couldn't. Yeah, my nose spin just went. I dedicated this to Kimberly. She probably heard me all the way in Arizona. I could do this. For you, Kimberly, let's do this again. On day 3, I used a different approach to practice, which was to gradually work myself up to that 6 meter distance. It's so much more satisfying to move around while throwing. It feels natural, it feels right. Standing in one spot for a prolonged period just kills me. Here's one of my favorite things to do when I miss. It's like, take that, target. After more backwards drills, I decided it was time to switch over to rotational throwing with my white sharks.
Practicing just rotational throws rather than mixing in no spin felt way better. I was able to focus rather than messing with my muscle memory. After I stuck all 3, I asked myself, wouldn't it be great if right now I completed this challenge? Here's my response.
Oh god, I'd be such a happy camper.
Of course, that didn't happen, but I felt that my no spin throwing had improved. So I continued to do this. I practiced my rotational throws until I stuck 3. Then I practiced my no spin throws until I stuck 3. And then I repeated this process. Overall, I felt great. There wasn't much pressure other than when I had to switch to the next style, since the goal was to nail the first 3. I felt relaxed and optimistic. I would have continued if it weren't for the setting sun.
I'm really excited. I think I am getting pretty good at getting 3 out of 3. Just need to get 12 out of 12. I've been practicing for the last half hour. Let's go.
On this day, I'm all business. Since the sun was about to set, I didn't warm up beforehand. I started throwing cold at the 6-meter mark. I do not recommend this because my success rate was low. I could barely get 1 to stick out of 3. And even more embarrassing, I threw an air ball.
Oh. I hate my life.
The most frustrating part is when you get 2 out of 3 because all you need is 1 more stick to move on with the challenge.
Shut up. Oh, come on. It's really hard to keep my mind focused on this. My mind keeps drifting off to like, what am I going to do at the end of the video?
After 27 more throws where I'm trying to focus, I finally had the round I was shooting for.
That's 2.
When I finally did get 3 out of 3, I had to see how long it took me.
What does that take? That took me 25 minutes to get 3. Wow.
In comparison, on day 3, I was able to nail 3 in a row in 40 seconds. That's including the dog interruption. Moral of the story, do not skip the warm-up. While I was scrolling through my footage, I began to see a pattern with my misses. So I decided to do more in-depth video analysis. I slowed down the video, freeze-framed crucial parts, and made measurements using a protractor and eyeing my meter rope. To keep this video short, I'll have to include my findings in my next video. Click the green bar below to watch it or click the link in the description. Going back to the challenge, I went back to rotational throwing and I was able to stick 3 in better time than my no spin round.
Whoa. Hideous, but I'm gonna move on. 10 minutes to get 3 actually pretty horrible rotational sticks.
For my second round of no spin, I started off with some 1 out of 3s, but quickly got to my winning round.
Yay! Not bad. It took me like 2 minutes. Wow. Which, by the way, I was thinking of Devin DeBow and Ryan Muma. They both shake like this. If you throw just immediately, you're not focused, but if you do the second one, then you're like, okay, got the release. It really helps nail down your focus on the no spin release.
Switching to rotational throwing didn't go too smoothly, but I was able to beat my time once again.
Yay! That makes it 5 minutes to get 3 sticks.
And for my last round of no spin throwing, I had to switch out my batteries. But when I came back, I was able to stick 3 in a row rather quickly.
After my break, only 3 minutes after my break.
And for the very last round of the day, once again, not a smooth transition to the rotational style. My throw just isn't consistent at 3 spins. I did get some beautiful ricochets though. When When I finally began to get some 2 out of 3s, I couldn't help but voice my frustration. Luckily, I finally got the winning round.
Oh god, how long did it take me? 7 minutes. It's been about an hour and a half of practicing. This is the 4th day and I'm pretty much done. Like, I just don't care. Once I just focused on one particular style at a time, I figured out what works for me. For the no spin throw, it's really just focusing on that release. I find that my mind just drifts off. So I really had to slow it down and really focus on the back spin of the no spin throw. For my rotational throws, I find that once I just get like a good throw, I just think replicate that throw. So that's what I learned. That's what I learned this challenge. Anyways, thanks for watching and I'll see you guys later. Bye. A little while ago, Werner Lengmuller asked if he could send me some throwing knives and I said, heck yeah. If you check him out on Facebook, he is a champion.